Okay, Archana, start.
The Gita explains the ordinary imperfect action of the creature by its subjection to the mechanism of Prakriti and its limitation by the self representations of Maya. These two terms are only complementary aspects of one and the same effective force of divine consciousness. Maya is not essentially illusion. The element or appearance of illusion only enters in by the ignorance of the lower Prakriti Maya of the three modes of nature. It is the divine consciousness in its power of varied self representation of its being, while Prakriti is the effective force of, of that consciousness which operates to work out each such self representation according to its own law and fundamental idea, Swabhava and Swadharma, in its own proper quality and particular force of working, Guna Karma. Leaning, pressing down upon my own nature, Prakriti, I create, lose forth into various beings, all this multitude of existences, all helplessly subject to the control of nature. Those who know not the divine lost in the human body are ignorant of it because they are grossly subject to this mechanism of Prakriti, helplessly subject to its mental limitations and acquiescent in them, and dwell in an asuric nature that deludes with desire and bewilders with egoism the will and the intelligence. Mohinim Prakritim Shrita. For the Purushottama within is not readily manifest to any and every being. He conceals himself in a thick cloud of darkness or a bright cloud of light. Utterly he envelops and wraps himself in his Yogmaya. Footnote Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yogamaya Samavata. All this world, says the Gita, because it is bewildered by the three states of being determined by the modes of nature, fails to recognize me. For this, my divine Maya of the modes of nature is hard to get beyond. Those cross beyond it who approach me, but those who dwell in the asuric nature of being have their knowledge reft from them by Maya. In other words, there is the inherent consciousness of the divine in all, or in all the divine realms, but he dwells there covered by his Maya, and the essential self knowledge of being is reft from them, turned into the error of egoism by the action of Maya, the action of the mechanism of Prakriti. Still, by drawing back from the mechanism of nature to her inner and secret master, man can become conscious of the indwelling divinity.
So, he has explained the purpose of avatarhood. He has already told us that is to lead. It's not only for dharma samsapanarthaya. It is also because that can be done even by he is not becoming an avatar. But when he becomes avatar, it is because he is guiding the mankind to the next level of consciousness, how to go there by example and influence also. So this is what he is discussing, and we'll see now. He has told you also that although I am divine, they don't avajananti mam, they don't know me because of moha. Okay, so he's explaining that. Okay, and also the avatarhood, although being divine, they take on a human body and a human body-mind life. So the Gita explains the ordinary imperfect action of the creature by its subjection to the mechanism of Prakriti. The mechanism of Prakriti is the nature, and nature has got three modes which limit a creature, all creatures, sattva, rajas, tamas. Okay, so these are the three. The mechanism of Prakriti. Prakriti is nature. But if you go to the highest level, remember, Purusha is consciousness and Prakriti is Shakti. Okay, so now he's using a very interesting word here. He's saying, and its limitation by the self-representations of Maya. What is the self-representation of Maya? Okay, so when at the highest level, Satchidananda, before creation, Chit is telling its own Shakti, create forms for me. I want to manifest, and you start creating forms. You have the power, and I will guide you. So you start creating forms. And Purusha enjoys the forms that Prakriti is doing, and Prakriti is going on creating forms for the enjoyment of Purusha. Okay, so this is the thing. So he is creating representations of himself. Okay, now a representation is, again, as you said, it's an image. Okay, if you take my ring, okay, mother's ring, this is mother's representing mother, but it's not mother. So all the physical things in the physical world, okay, are all representations. And representations of what? Of the divine. So he is representing himself in the lower nature by creating symbols. Okay. So he is creating forms, and they are self-representations in the lower creation. Self-representation. These two, okay, Prakriti and Maya, okay, these two terms are only complementary aspects of one, okay, of the one thing. And what is that one thing? Shakti. You can speak of it as Maya, you can speak of it as Prakriti. These two terms are only complementary aspects of one and the same effective force of divine consciousness. So, effective force of divine consciousness, 4 words, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words, it only means Shakti, divine Shakti, okay, the power of the divine. And the same effective force of divine consciousness. Maya is not essentially illusion. As I said before also, and we repeat, Maya has got 3 meanings. First, Maya at the highest level is the power to create forms and real forms. Okay? Because the root is Ma, remember? And Ma means to measure. The dhatu is Ma. Ma is to measure and create forms, limit forms. So that is the first meaning of Maya. The second meaning of Maya is the illusion, the creation of the magic. How can you create something, okay, out of nothing? So it's a tremendous power, and you create illusions. So that is the second meaning of Maya, which you find in the spiritual planes of consciousness. And in the last, the physical world, the world itself is all Maya only. It's all magic. Magic and the power to create forms. And the power to create forms, the more and more you think of it, it is more and more stunning. This is discussed in many places, and I will just touch upon that slightly because the word Maya is very interesting. How does this power to create forms come? And it's really magic. Okay, and he Srinath himself gives the example of oxygen and hydrogen. Okay, now in oxygen and hydrogen, if you combine them, you get water. But what is there in oxygen and what is there in hydrogen that is similar to water? Nothing. So how does it come? How does it become? This is a magic. It's absolutely a magic. There's no way we can explain this. That's why the Maya, it can be illusion and magic. And also in the last, the whole world is only Maya. It is a delusion. You are covered up by the power of the darkness which is there below. Maya is not, I'm reading the next text. Maya is not essentially illusion. The element or appearance of illusion enters in by the ignorance of the lower Prakriti. So there you are. There is a lower Prakriti and there is a higher Prakriti. So lower Prakriti is unconscious universal nature. Okay? It's going on acting, but it is not conscious, but it is acting. That's a lower Prakriti. But the same Prakriti, as you keep going higher and higher in consciousness, it becomes fully conscious. Okay? So that becomes the para Prakriti, the higher Prakriti. The lower Prakriti and the higher Prakriti. So Maya is all these three. Okay? Higher and it is the Paraprakriti and Aparaprakriti, both are all, it is operating by Maya. Okay? Maya is of the three modes of nature, and it covers you up by the three modes of nature. We know what they are: Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Tamas is the power to create darkness and inactivity. Okay? Darkness, ignorance, inactivity, this is tamas. Stability, it does not change. There is no desire to change. And that is very necessary. We may think of tamas as very something negative, but it's also got some positive value. And what is that positive value? The permanence of things. I don't want to change. And if the permanence of things was not there, what would happen in the physical world? Everything would be constantly changing. So how can you, a butterfly would become something else, a tree would become something else every minute. So the permanence of forms, remember that this permanence is not absolute at all. Then, but each thing changes in its own time. Okay. So a caterpillar dies in 1 week. Okay. A cat dies in 15, 16 years. Okay. Or a dog. A man lives for 100 years. A tree, okay, those huge trees, they live for sometimes 400 years. Even the Himalayas will live maybe for 10,000 years. But nothing is permanent in the physical world. Yet there is a semblance of permanence. And that is the tamas. Okay. Tamas is ensuring that to a certain extent at least, there is a permanence of forms. Then you come to rajas. Rajas is a power of movement, of constant change. And then finally you have the consciousness rising to the sattva, the principle of understanding, light, harmony. Okay, this is the sattva. But even sattva is mechanical. Remember that. Huh? Don't think that a sattvic person is free. He is not free. He is completely under the domination of Prakriti. He may be sattvic, but he is still. So this is the Maya. Maya of the three modes of nature. It is the divine consciousness in its power of various self-representation of its being, while Prakriti is the effective force of that consciousness which operates to work out each self-representation according to its own law and fundamental idea, Swabhava and Swadharma. So let's go a little into detail to see what he's saying. The divine consciousness, Chit, is telling its power to create forms, no? And in its power of various self-representation of the being. So we are going on creating different things. When it creates a matter, it's a self-representation. This is also one aspect of me. When it creates life forms, plants and life forms, it's another aspect of me. When it goes on creating other things. So how does this come? Each thing is destined for a certain role in the physical world. That is the swabhava. The swabhava of the individual soul. I can use the word soul because the soul is there even in matter. Okay. So each soul that is created has got its own swabhava and it's got a role to play in the physical world. And that's swadharma, what it has to do in the physical world. In its proper quality and particular force of working, guna karma. This is there that we, even at the physical form, even in the physical, each element has got its own function. Okay? Oxygen has got its own function, hydrogen has got its own function. Then when you come to cats and dogs also, each one is qualified by his own nature. Okay, what a cat can do, an owl can do something else. It's not the same thing. So that's a swabhava. Each one is meant to express one particular aspect of existence. And this is infinite. That's why somebody is saying various self-representation. The divine goes on creating all these species and all these plants and all these things. And each one is destined to express something of the divine. Okay? So self-represented according to its own law and fundamental idea. According to its own law, each one, we know that, for instance, the behavior of animals, okay, is very, very fixed. Okay, is the law that is operating there. Okay, Swabhava and Swadharma. And in its own proper quality and particular force of working, guna karma. Every action that each thing does is also it is qualified by its own characteristics. Now, Sri Krishna is speaking about how he creates the universe. Leaning, pressing down upon my own nature, Prakriti, I create, lose. The word used is srijami. So srij is to create, losing forth. Okay? I create, lose forth into various beings, and various beings, not only, but it becomes much. The one becoming the many. That's a principle. All this multitude of existences, all helplessly subject to the control of nature. In the physical world, everything is controlled by nature. There is absolutely rigidity of laws in the physical world. As you keep going up, the rigidity becomes less and less rigid until finally in the higher planes of consciousness you have freedom, no more laws. You are not bound by any laws. But so long as you are in the physical world, completely no freedom at all. Okay? Completely you are governed by laws. So we come back to the idea of the mukti. Na? The other day we were discussing, as Yasmin was saying, that if you realize the divine, he will free you from your karma. It's a soul that gets freed from the karma. Okay? But the bottom line, like the laws of karma are absolutely rigidly permanent in the physical world. Okay? So keep that in mind. Leaning, pressing down upon my own nature, Prakriti, he puts pressure on Prakriti to create forms, and I create these forms, multitude of existences, all helplessly subject to the control of nature. Those who know not the divine lodged in the human body are ignorant of it because they are grossly subject to the mechanism of nature. This is what he is explaining. The Gita is explaining how people don't recognize the avatar because he is in a human body. Avajananti mam is the word used in the Gita. Okay? Those who know not the divine, lodged in a human body, are ignorant of it because they are grossly subject to the mechanism of Prakriti. Mechanism of Prakriti, again, the three laws, three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, helplessly subject to its mental limitations and acquiescent in them and dwell in an asuric nature that deludes with desire and bewilders with egoism, the will and the intelligence. Mohinim Prakriti Shrita. Mohinim Prakriti. The Prakriti is governed by Moha. Moha is the delusion. Okay? Because the darkness, tamas, rajas, tamas is there and it completely covers. They are all coverings for the divine avatar. So you don't see the avatar because you are covered by these things. For the Purushottama within is not readily manifest to any and every being. Note, he can become manifest to some who get rid of the three gunas. For the Purushottama within is not readily manifest to any and every being. He conceals himself in a thick cloud of darkness. So, thick cloud of darkness or a bright cloud of light. What are these? Thick cloud of darkness is the kshara. A bright cloud of light is the akshara. Okay? So even in the akshara, he is revealing himself partly but not fully. Because Purushottama is the third level, remember. So cloud of darkness is kshara level 1, bright cloud of light, akshara level 2, spiritual planes of consciousness, and the Purushottama is the level 3. So Purushottama is hiding himself in the lower and in the middle and revealing himself only at the highest level. Okay. Utterly, he envelops and wraps himself in his own Yoga Maya. And they have given the reference of the Yoga Maya. Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yoga Maya Samabrita. So, I am not Prakasha, I am not visible. I am not visible. Sarvasya, for everybody. For everybody, I am not visible. Because I am Samavrita, I am covered by my own Maya. And what is his Maya? The creation of the three modes of nature. That's what it says. Okay? Samavrita means covered. Yoga Maya, by my Yoga Maya, I am covered. That's why I am not visible to everybody. Sarvasya Naham Prakasha. So now I read the next sentence. All this world, says the Gita, because it is bewildered by the three states of being, determined by the modes of nature, fails to recognize me. The world, because it is in ignorance, it cannot recognize the avatar. For this, my divine Maya of the modes of nature is hard to get beyond. Okay? Durasadam is very hard to get beyond the modes of nature. Not easy. You need a lot of tapasya to be able to get rid of them. Face when, for him, my divine Maya of the modes of nature is hard to get beyond. Those cross beyond it who approach me. So when you approach the divine, you can cross from you can become Trigunatita. But those who dwell in the asuric nature of being have their knowledge reft from them by Maya. Now, Asura, you must also remember that it has got degrees. So, the Asura is as powerful as the divine. But the only difference is the Asura is governed totally by ego. Okay? So, this is what he is saying, that they live in the ego consciousness. You can see it in that way. Okay? The modes of nature is hard to get beyond. Those cross beyond it who approach me. But those who dwell in the asuric nature of being, that means they have an ego, have their knowledge reft from them. Reft or bereft. Okay? The word is bereaved, to be deprived of, to be robbed of, okay? To be dispossessed of. That's the meaning. So bereft, the word is actually bereaved. Okay? When you lose a relative, you are bereaved of the relative. Deprived of, robbed of. Okay? Dispossessed of. But here he is now using the word bereft, but reft. Deprived of by Maya. What is deprived? The knowledge is deprived from. In other words, there is the inherent consciousness of the divine in all. Everywhere the divine consciousness is there. For in all the divine dwells. But he dwells there, covered by his Maya, and the essential self-knowledge of beings is reft from them, turned into the error of egoism by the action of Maya. Egoism is a sense of separation. Again, the principle of the one becoming the many. If some of these principles can't remember, everything becomes easy. The power to create many, okay? It's a Maya. And many means I am separated from you altogether, and that's in ignorance. It is one who becomes the many, and there in the lower nature, by the law of Maya, okay, you become ignorant. You are covered up by the three modes of nature: darkness, action. Even action, too much action also is a, it affects your vision. And finally, sattva, which is slightly better, but still it is a, those who are very sattvic are very prone to the conception of virtue. So that also is a limitation. Those who are incapable of doing sin, okay, you can sin without guilt. Okay? But that's another subject altogether, and that will complicate things. We won't go into that. So, still, the last sentence of the paragraph. Still, by drawing back from the mechanism of nature to her inner and secret master, man can become conscious of the indwelling deity. Although you are covered up by darkness, still, if you approach the divine in the right way, you can become conscious of the indwelling divinity. There is an indwelling divinity, there is a divinity in the cosmos, and there is a divinity transcendent also. And all of them can be accessed by different methods. Normally, the divinity within you is accessed by devotion. The knowledge of the cosmic divine and the transcendent divine is through knowledge, okay, through the mind. So, this is what the Gita is saying. We have still got about 10-12 minutes. So we can read the next one, which is also a very big para. It's more than a page. So we'll read. So Archana has read.
But
Now,
you did not tell us the summary of this para.
no, because I have not made summaries as yet of this.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I have to do it. I'm still engaged in the summary of the synthesis. There are a few more chapters left. After that, I'll take up this one.
Rangata,
Yes. Tell me.
Rangata, so basically, between the asura, mainly it is the ego which makes it different from, we can say, the gods or whatever.
Actually,
Asura.
I didn't exactly get your question. Can you repeat?
What I'm saying is that means asuric or asura is basically different because of its ego.
Yes, that's right. That's right. That's the story of how, when the one started becoming the many, the first was the creation of Diti and Aditi. Aditi, not two but one. So she is the mother of all the gods. And Diti is the one who is representing two. Diti is two. And she is the mother of all the asuras. It goes into two lines because the creation is one becoming the many, and the very first thing is two. So Diti and Aditi. So yeah. So Asura.
Daitya also,
Yeah, tell me.
Daitya also comes from there, no? Diti's sons.
Which one?
Daitya.
Yeah,
comes
yeah,
from
yeah.
there, no?
Yeah, same thing. Daitya is okay, another form. Yeah, that's right.
But aren't asuras the evil beings or the hostile beings?
Yes, they are.
So the difference is not only in ego, the difference is between goodness and evil also.
That's true. That is a consequence. But the main thing is the ego, which separates you from the divine. Those are consequences. They become anti-divine. Okay? But they have a function. And that function is to propel you towards the divine. Because asuras cannot be conquered. They can be transformed, but they cannot be conquered. They are immortal. So that is the interesting thing. They have to be. Yeah.
Transformation means when they get over the ego, they abolish the ego.
Yes, that's right. They can be transformed.
Or the starting of anything, when anything away from the divine is just the feeling of separation.
Yes,
And that is ego, right?
yes, that's right. Feeling of separation. And then it's got consequences. No?
That is a different thing. I was just asking about the principle.
Yes, I think so. That's the principle.
But mother had said no that there are four lords of falsehood, war, two more I forgot,
Yeah.
and that two have been already destroyed or transformed, and two are still left.
That's right.
But what were those four lords?
Pardon?
What are those four lords?
Oh,
falsehood, war.
Yeah. Falsehood is definitely one. I think death is another. Okay. Inconscience is another. So I don't remember exactly. I'll have to check. I'll tell you next time. I don't remember exactly what they are. And I think there's yeah.
Nations, Arangata.
That's right. Lord of nations. That's right. But which is a Lord of nations? What is the quality that Jasmine is asking? The quality.
I just remember the names.
Yeah, Lord of Nations, that's right. And these asuras, they enter into human beings. Okay. And it's very interesting because their influences, they try to enter into human beings. And okay, let's tell you something very interesting. Okay. Every human being is a product of the highest and the lowest, isn't it? And the lowest is the anti-divine. So there's a very interesting reference which Ramdo gives to Amal's letter. He says what you're saying is very interesting because in each one there are the opposites in each one. And Mother says that each one, the opposites when they are there, they are your problem to be solved. Okay? So Nalida stunned everybody once by saying that the disciples of Sri Aurobindo are asuric. That created a huge rumpus in the ashram. And everybody, there was Kishore Gandhi, who immediately said that, what are you saying? Don't say all these things publicly. Then people will stop giving money to the ashram. Okay. So this is there. Each one has got the opposite tendencies in oneself. And the whole, because the divine himself is darkness. He is light, but also darkness. He is also immortality, but he is also death. And each individual is the whole cosmos. And when you are the whole cosmos from the highest to the lowest, then you have everything in you. And that is the main point of yoga. You have to cross over these lower and go to the higher. And when you go to the higher, you are transforming those lower things. Okay? Hate becomes love. Okay? Inconscience becomes consciousness. Okay? Limitation becomes infinite. So these are the things. So you have to, the transformation comes with that rising in consciousness. So in the supramental race, for instance, there cannot be any asuras because there's no ego there at all. Okay, so there is a gradation of consciousness which rises up. So yeah, mothers spoke about 4 asuras, 4 types. I think there would be, you can call them 4 types. Maybe they have something to do with the knowledge aspect and force aspect. I'll have to look into that carefully. I'll see. It's
But
a,
mother's second husband, Paul, was also an asura, no? That's why she married him.
yeah, there was a, he was representative of the Lord of Nations.
Huh.
But if I speak about the Asuric elements in the ashram, it will be politically incorrect. So we cannot speak of them. But Lord of Nations, we can speak very easily because he didn't belong here. But Mother says that every time I cleaned him up, okay, Mother was divine. She had the power to clean him up. He would again call back those forces and he would again become dirty. His consciousness will become again dirty. So that she mentioned in one of her talks. Yeah.
Rangada, actually,
Yes.
Asuric is ego. Then yes, we all, here ego is more common now because we feel we are more close to Mother and Sherwin. That is one big, like thing which comes in.
Yeah. Because we have all egos, huh? Everybody has got an ego.
That's
And
exactly what I'm saying. So if Asura represents ego, then the Nalinida's statement is not a, should not create a havoc if we look into ourselves.
but ego also is
Actually, the whole world is asura. Because everybody in the world has an ego except
at
those
the lower level.
exceptionally few.
Jasmine, at the lower level, yes. It is
We are all asuras.
in your lower element.
Yeah, but of different degrees.
Yeah, you are also divine, huh? You have the divine.
Yes. See, that day I told you, no, that we have 2 genes, one dominant, one recessive.
Yeah, that's right.
So the duality is there everywhere. It's there even at the level of the genes. And
Yes,
it is that dominant gene which will manifest.
yes.
So depends on whatever is dominant, evil or good, darkness or light will manifest. But Mother has said no, that if you see mud in others, that means that there is mud somewhere in you.
Yes.
Maybe the mud is there, but it is recessive. But
Yes.
any moment it can become dominant.
That's the principle of, in French you say, seul le semblable connaît le semblable. Only the one who is similar to somebody else recognizes him. Okay? Only a divine can recognize a divine. And at our level, when you have jealousy in you, you will recognize jealousy in others. Because otherwise, how will you recognize? If you don't have it in yourself, you will not recognize it. So, birds of a feather flock together. That's it. Also another way of putting it. Okay, so only the one who is similar to another one. So if you have jealousy in you, you will recognize jealousy in others. If you have a impure mind, you will recognize the impure minds in others. You will be able to. You don't see it in yourself; you see it more in others. So, anyway.
But the other thing is, Amal had told me that if you are open to your psychic being,
Yeah.
then you can also see others who are open to their psychic being.
Yes, of course.
And that you don't have to talk to that person.
Yes.
So you just, you can just mentally, or I don't know which way, sort of,
Not mentally.
correspond with them.
Yeah, but not mentally. Mentally is at the
Not
lower level.
mentally, not mentally.
By
But like
spiritual.
if A and B are both open to their psychic being, they can just see each other and know.
But that is when you are completely transformed psychically. So that is possible. But if you have only got influence of the psychic, then it doesn't help much. It is individually you benefit, but all those powers don't come so clearly. The psychic has to completely dominate your nature, psychicized nature. The triple transformation of self, first is the psychicization, then is the spiritualization, and there is a supermentalization. There is a gradation. It should keep going up. Okay, we'll stop here today.
Just 1 minute. But this is very interesting thing, very interesting, and I think practically also very important and logically also very correct that what is in you, you can easily recognize in others.
Yes.
So when we see things in others, we should at once become aware that that is in us. That's why we are seeing it in others.
Yes.
No? Practically and logically also it's correct that if you know something only then will you recognize it. If you don't know it, how will you recognize it?
Exactly. That's the point.
Practically, I think this is a very important point for for ourselves.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so before you see somebody and criticize that he is like that, he is like that, I am also like that. That's why I know that he is like that.
Yes, that's it. That's it. But usually in ignorance, that knowledge does not come very easily. Mentally, we may recognize that if I am seeing something in others, I am seeing dullness in others, then there's a part of dullness in me also. Mentally, you may recognize, but you are not able to see it unless you go to level 2. Okay. Then you have the power to see, actually, not recognize mentally. Okay, we stop here today, and I wish all of you a very good and happy day.
Merci
Thank you,
beaucoup. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
Harika, you joined after many days.